Welcome to Hardestry. This is Farah Yasmin Sheikh, and I'm really looking forward to another, I think, inspiring conversation, one that is extremely poignant in today's world and quite literally um, today. And without further ado, let me tell you about the guest that we have with us today and who they represent. Today, we will be speaking with the representative of Aurat March Karachi. Aurat March Karachi is a grassroots movement in Pakistan advocating for gender equality and rights of gender based minorities. They believe in challenging patriarchal norms and promoting inclusivity, diversity, and intersectionality. The mission is to create a society where all individuals, regardless of gender, have equal rights and opportunities. Through peaceful protests, advocacy campaigns, and community engagement, Aurat March Karachi aims to raise awareness about gender based violence, discrimination, and other issues faced by women and marginalized groups. I spoke with a representative of Aurat March Karachi about a year ago, and this is something that they work year round and yet have sort of a very pinnacle event, if you will, often taking place in March, which is in Women's History Month and around International Women's Day. This year, however, Aurat March in Karachi will take place on May 10th. And today we have a different representative of the organization joining us. And so please join me in welcoming them to Hardestry. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. And thank you for the very comprehensive introduction to the movement.
Well,
Really looking forward to this conversation.
as am I. And, really the gratitude goes to you and your team for the commitment to this work, I believe this is a volunteer effort. I was lucky enough to be at Aurat March. My goodness, what year was that? Maybe 2022. And I got to witness it firsthand, the power of everybody coming together. I certainly want to hear in your words both the history and I will say we're certainly going to get to this, but there is something that has happened quite literally in the past couple of days for you and your team in Karachi as you are building up for this weekend's event. Why don't you just touch on that a little bit? We will likely come back to it throughout the conversation, and then we'll move on to sort of rewind and hear a little bit about the history.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, basically, what happened is that, like you mentioned, we are going to be marching on Mother's Day this year, which is supposed to be on 10th May. And it's 7th May right now. So, it's literally just, we only have 2 days in between before the march. So, it's crazy. But it's not the general level of crazy because usually, obviously, so close to the event. And I mean, I'm calling it an event because in a lot of ways, it involves event planning,
Sure.
although it's not an event. It's not a commercial event. It's a movement, and it's a
Absolutely.
march. It's a protest, and also a celebration.
Hmm.
So yeah, but anyway, this time it's a little more crazy because something that has never happened to us during these last 8 years happened this time, something not good. So Aurat March started in 2018, and every year since that time, a few days before the march, we have a press conference where we present our demands for that specific march to the media so that they can help us get the message across to a larger audience and also to get it across to the government. Although we also do share our demands with the government through other channels. But this time, every time the press conference happens, and during the press conference, sometimes we, you know, face issues
Yeah.
in terms of the sort of questions we receive from the
Mm.
media persons, but that's about it. And the press conference happens without any particular issues. But what happened this time is that we obviously followed the same process to have the press conference done, which is to book a room in the Karachi Press Club, and yeah, you have to give book it for a specific slot, and also write short blurb about what you're going to be discussing in the press conference, and then you get approval for it, which we did.
Hmm.
But just as the press conference was about to start, the people who were supposed to be speaking at the press conference or who were just supposed to be attending it got arrested.
Yeah.
They got detained. And basically, what happened was that at the gate of the press club, so our press conference was supposed to happen in between 4 to 5 p.m.
Hmm.
And at around 3:30 p.m., our people had started reaching. Two or three of them managed to reach earlier and get inside the press club, and the rest were reaching every few minutes. But yeah, after the initial two, three people reached, police women and policemen um, kind of just surrounded the area, and they started dragging our people. And like that, this includes organizers, volunteers, and also people who are like activists linked to specific communities who we were going to have at our press conference to
Right.
speak about their own issues. And one after the other, thankfully, when the first person who got arrested, when the first person got arrested, she dropped a message on our group
Okay.
informing us that, okay, I have been detained. I am being taken away by the police. So some people, including me, who had not yet reached, we were alerted to this, so that saved a few of us
Yeah.
from being detained as well. But we were also just wondering whether to reach the press club regardless, because obviously our people are being taken away.
Sure. You want to be
You
there in
know,
solidarity and literal physical support. And
yeah, and to
yes.
maybe help create more noise by going
Yeah.
live from our Instagram at that point. But then
Right.
um, some of us did reach, but then they also ended up getting arrested. Well, detained is the right word because no FIR was cut, but yeah, they ended up
Okay.
getting detained.
Yeah.
So then a few of us, including me, decided not to go to the press club, because at least a few of us should stay out to be able to tell the world what's happening.
Sure.
So yeah, so we did that, and we informed people within our activist circles of what had happened. And
Yeah.
thankfully, after about an hour and a half, everyone was let go of from the police station. But the whole process was just really extremely concerning generally, because like this is the first time, like I mentioned, that this was happening during all
Mm.
these years. There was literally no basis for
Yeah.
these detentions. And it's also not even, I mean, even the fact that people were being detained simply for wanting to talk to the media, not even
Right.
for protesting. Like, it's so absurd. But it wasn't even just that, it was also that they were literally being dragged and being like brutally
Physically
thrown into.
manhandled, whether by a man or a
Yes,
woman. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and yeah, like you mentioned, even men, like
Yeah.
cis male police officers, they were also physically touching women. And you know it's it's quite dystopian
Yeah.
to see this happening, so we're all still quite shaken by it.
Yeah, of
um
course. And again, I
yeah.
just want to reiterate this was a press conference, which happens every year prior to the Orat March. This was not even a protest. And yet, yes, people there are activists, but it was a very peaceful gathering. When you use the word demands, it is again, when you go into something like a gathering and, what you do through Orat March, I mean, it's a given. It's, hey, wouldn't it be lovely if we didn't have to have this? Right. So, of course, it's
Exactly.
important to recognize that when we hear even that word demand, that doesn't mean that it's sort of an antagonistic setup. It is just saying, this is why we're still here and advocating for
Exactly.
what we we need and want. And again, for women and, as stated in the introduction, other marginalized groups. And so so obviously I hesitate to say this because I certainly don't want to diminish the intensity of the event, but I would imagine one aspect that maybe was helpful also is that, or I guess I should ask this and confirm this, was the press present already when this started to happen?
So yes, because our press conference was scheduled for that time,
Right.
and the
Right.
press club is a place where journalists are usually present.
Yeah.
So yes, the
So
press
the
was
timing was
present.
such. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, but also, so this might surprise you.
Hmm.
Um, at least it surprised us, or like it really, I don't know what word to use. Like it frustrated us. That doesn't convey the whole feeling, but
Sure, sure.
yeah, basically, you would imagine that if the press is there to cover things potentially, um, whatever is happening, that's harming people like this, would be lesser in intensity, because the government wouldn't want
The
their
bad
crimes to be
press.
recorded.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it was actually, it seemed to be the opposite. It seemed to
Oh,
us
wow.
like the government wanted that the press record whatever they were doing, so that they could instill fear in our supporters and other, and in within us as well, but also within our supporters, because did not get detained, but those of us who did get detained later shared with us that on camera, when they were being dragged from the street into the police car, uh, they were being like dragged and kicked and physically assaulted. But as soon as they sat inside the police van, the demeanor of the police
Oh,
officers
wow.
became a lot more gentle, and it seemed like
Mm.
this was something they did on purpose to have it on record that, okay, you are these women, you are these gender minorities um, who are opinionated enough to do to conduct like large demonstrations and to be talking about issues that you are not supposed to
Yeah.
talk about publicly. So they kind of maybe just wanted to send a message to us and also to our supporters that, okay, this is something we will not allow.
Yes. If you step out of line, there will be repercussions.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, let's go ahead. We're going to take a first pause here and we'll come back and continue the conversation. Welcome back to Heartistry. This is Farah Yasmin Sheikh, and today we are speaking with a representative from Aurat March, Karachi, and hearing not just about the upcoming Aurat March in Karachi, currently scheduled for Sunday, May 10th, and very much intentionally so to take place on Mother's Day, which again, when we talk about women and celebrating women, obviously being able to carry children, birth children, raise children. Mothers carry so much power and should be revered and celebrated and honored. And so many who maybe will never have children. Again, there's just this maternal component in so many. And yet again, as we were hearing from you, this just happened. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday of this week? The 5th, 6th?
This was Tuesday,
Okay.
two
And
days ago.
yes. So I, I was, of course, seeing this unfold on Instagram I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area and 12 hours behind. So I didn't see it right away. And when I did, and seeing the people that posted it and they being friends of mine in Karachi, I, of course, messaged them. And of course, a great concern to me was seeing Shima Kermani, being one of the people who was really physically being harassed detained, placed quite aggressively in the car. Shimaji is somebody, of course, she is a dancer, artist, activist, somebody I have a great deal of love and respect for. I've had the great honor of getting to know her over the years of doing work in Karachi and even sharing a stage with her. And the beauty of this person inside out is it's not about her. It's not about some need or desire for name and fame. Shimaji believes with every fiber of her body in equal rights for all. And um, Shimaji is 75 years old and she is, full of spirit, energy, needless to say, strength, power. But a 75-year-old still falls into an elderly category. And yet, there was no hesitation as it appeared to me. And I'd like to hear from you. And, even in Shimaji sharing in her own words, I saw some videos that she shared after returning home after this intense ordeal. Um, she was, again, very aggressively being moved around. Again, moved is very gentle, but talk about that. Talk about any conversations you've had or, been privy to as far as Shimaji, any of the others. How are they doing? You've already mentioned this almost theatrics by the police of being quite violent and aggressive, and then they get in the car and being a little bit more gentle. But how are they? Yes, anything on that?
Yeah, so it's been 2 days. So I think everyone who was detained sustained some level of injuries, including her. And Chimaji is actually in Lahore right now. She had to go there for
For the
the
Lahore
Kathak
Kathak
festival.
Festival, yes, yes.
Yeah, but she's having to perform with
Which
an injured leg.
exactly, which
You know,
again speaks to who she is. She believes so deeply in the representation and presence of art in Pakistan that even this would not stop her.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I feel like people, because it's not just that the arrests happened and the violence happened. It's also that this is peak March time, and we still have not gotten an NOC, a no objection certificate to conduct the march, which means that we don't have permission from the government to carry on with the march as of yet. We're still waiting for it. We're hoping to get it, but we still don't have it. So I feel like there's so much happening right now that
Yeah.
maybe people have kind of pushed whatever happened a bit to
Right,
the back of their heads
right.
because there's so much to do right now. But yeah, we've been like, even people like me who did not get detained, we've been like trying to process all of this together as a group.
Mm,
But also in the middle trying to make sure that, like, it's important that people keep talking about the violence that took place, the police brutality, right? But also we want even more than that right now, for the focus to be on our demand for the government to issue us an NOC,
yeah,
because the press conference was for the march. It was to bring attention to the demands we'll be raising through the march, which include like demands against marital rape, for the social and economic security of women, for reproductive rights, for
mm,
consent and body safety education, etc., etc. Demands like these.
yeah,
So yeah, I feel like people are coping, and they're also angry. Like, obviously
yeah,
they're
of
angry,
course.
right? All of us. So I feel like we have gotten a lot of support from all over the country and even beyond, even from people who generally criticize
Mm,
the march. So that has been a bit, heartwarming in a way, and
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
I guess, also helping us move forward. But of course, like, we're still very angry, and we're still
yeah,
we're planning on making sure that we don't just let this go, because
absolutely.
like, the government has detained 3 police officers who were involved in this, but it wasn't just those three police officers, it was more than them. And also, like, the question is whose orders those police
Right.
officers were following, because
Right.
obviously, like, they did not, why would
Yeah.
they do this on their own? So we're asking the government for accountability on that front as well. So yeah, it's just a mix of anger and even more determination to continue with the march,
100%.
because
Yes.
like, this is why we march. This is
Yeah.
exactly why we march, that we don't even have the space to talk about violence against us without
Yeah.
getting subjected to further violence. So yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I have this I have this tendency, I just want to be really honest about this. I always have this hard, I find it difficult to criticize Pakistan because I have so much love for it. I have so much hope. I see so much potential. But I have to admit that then I tend to sort of romanticize often kind of this existence, right? And it is that place where, and this is why I think I admire those that are organizing in the ways that they are through Aurat March Karachi, looking at individuals like Shimaji, so many amazing people that I've met over the years that I've been, more in a more focused manner, have a presence and connection to Pakistan outside of just my familial connections. And that is because day in, day out, the belief in what could and should be is guiding you versus accepting what is. And but not, it is holding accountable what is not okay. And I think it's so important. I do think there is also validity in me being abroad and not being critical because I'm not living it every day. I want to support and amplify, but it is important to make sure that the voices that I'm amplified are the first person voices of those of you who are quite literally on the ground, doing the work, living day to day in the society and so on. And so it is a responsibility of mine if I say I believe and love Pakistan in the way that I do, um, that I really work towards making it better, but not from this, frankly, this ivory tower of sitting here in the US, which God knows the US is not an ivory tower for many reasons, but you see my point. And so again, I just want to name that and again, hold myself accountable to how I show up in support and in solidarity and hope that anybody, as I'm saying this, that feels a relatability, whether it's with Pakistan or another place that they feel that affinity to, it is important to show up, but not overtake.
Thank you. That is beautiful, and I think it's not very often that people think like this. So I'm glad that this is how you feel, and we're really grateful for your support to the
Of
march, and
course.
for everyone else like you who from within Pakistan and from abroad who supports, because the march is a collective effort. It always has
Yes.
been. It's a fully volunteer run movement. We don't take any organized any institutional funding, any governmental
Amazing.
NGO funding, political party funding, and it's even if it's like 100 rupees, which is a third of a US dollar or something, like 40
Yeah.
cents.
Yeah.
So it could be even as low as that, or then it could go up to thousands of rupees.
Right.
So we, like, sustain ourselves on the
Yeah.
donations, and the donations we get are mostly used for arranging transport for women from working class communities who
Awesome.
cannot afford to attend the march. And even
Yeah.
other than that, the entire labor of the movement is like completely voluntary. Like, no one is getting paid for any of this,
Yeah.
and it's all a collective effort. So it's also that some different people contribute in different ways in different capacities, and while the presence of people on the ground is really crucial, obviously, to the sustenance of the movement. Uh, at the same time, support from people like you who might not be present on the ground, but who can help amplify
Yeah.
our demands, our messaging, and support in other ways is so important. And yeah, uh, I think I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Let's go ahead. We'll take another quick pause and come back. Welcome back to Heartistry. This is Farah, and today we are speaking with a representative of Aurat March Karachi, hearing again about what's happening in real time as you lead up to the planned Aurat March in Karachi on Sunday, May 10th. I mentioned at the start of our conversation that I had the joy. I mean, it really was an infectious joy. When you come together in community and in protest, there is something that, yes, it is often more often than not standing up against something that is oppressing, suppressing, what have you. So, of course, that was the call. But when I was at the event in March of 2022, there was also something really magnetic, empowering, contagious in the energy. At that time, it was it was like, I can't remember the name. It was very close to
Srinath round. Yeah.
maybe very close to Qaid Azam.
Yeah.
That yes. And I remember the day was just filled with, there was a stage and there were different speakers and there was music and there was poetry. At times there was dancing. There were people with posters of messages of all kinds. And I do want to touch on that in a moment. I also was quite struck by the generational representation. I feel honored to be part of a family lineage of people who really were at the forefront of the feminist movement in Pakistan, people who are to this day part of Women Action Forum. And my father's chachi was like really just a powerhouse in so many spaces. Another one of my chachis is very much involved. Another puppy. I mean, they're just phenomenal in their ways. And then again, my age group, your age group, you already mentioned that much of any donations and any funding that comes in, some of that is used to bring in people that are not right there in the heart of the city, but might be a little bit more on the outskirts and wouldn't otherwise be able to afford to come, whether it's transportation is or lack of transportation is what's keeping them. So organizing for, again, a very diverse group of socioeconomic class, generation, again, people representing different communities, different marginalized groups, but just again, beyond moved by being at that experience, having that experience. And the posters are something that has really come to visibly identify this event. And I'd love if you could talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. I'm so glad your experience was similar to mine of attending the march, because I first attended the march in 2019, and I completely agree with what you're saying about the magnetic energy and everything, because that day I felt things that I hadn't ever felt before that. I felt a strange kind of happiness for those 30 minutes, 1 hour, longer than that, yeah, a few hours. And then I also cried when I went back home, because it hit me that this is something so basic, and we still have to
Yeah.
fight so hard for this. Like, why
Yeah.
can this not be our everyday normal life?
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, so the presence of so many people, so many women, so many gender minorities in the march is what made that magnetic feeling come true. And it was also the posters, like you're saying.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like the march would not be the march without the posters. Like, the posters are one of the most crucial aspects that make the march day what it is. Because like a lot of people think that Aurat March is just the march we do annually. And while that march is a large part of our work, or like a very important part of our work, it's not the only part, and it's like there's a lot of work we do throughout the year as well.
Right.
So yeah, as far as the march itself goes, the posters, the slogans, um, they carry a lot of importance, and um, I think they show our society the mirror that it doesn't want to see, but that it should be seeing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times speeches, people might ignore. Although speeches can also be very powerful, but speeches, people can ignore. The demands we post to our social media pages, people can ignore. But when a placard, when the picture of a placard goes viral,
Hmm.
it's the visual effect of it is very, important. And obviously, like, then that also involves a lot of controversy, a lot of misinformation as well, or
Mm.
should I say disinformation, in fact,
Sure.
about the march, because like our posters are interpreted in ways so strange that we just sometimes think, how did people manage to twist
Right.
very simple words into just super strange ways.
Mm.
um like, there has been a lot of backlash against the movement since the beginning, and that's how I actually came across the movement
Okay.
in the first place, because the march first happened in 2018 and I did not know about it. But the day after the march, or maybe even the same day, a few posters from the march were all over my social media, and that's how I found out that, oh, this march happened. And then I dug further deeper into what the posters said, and there was like a lot of debate happening. And that's how, despite not attending the march, I started supporting it virtually, even
Hmm.
before I had attended it. So yeah, the posters are, I feel like, quite a large part of the life of.
Can you can you
Yeah.
recall some, whether you've made them and or ones that really stick out to you, made an impact on you, and yeah, some of the statements, whether, maybe I love that, they're in Urdu, and then if you want to translate it, or maybe some in English, up to you, any of the above.
Yeah, I think my favorite one, which is what a lot of other people also resonate the most with, is Mera Jism Meri Marzi,
Absolutely.
um, which, if I translate it into English, is my body, my choice, or my body, my right. It's
Yeah.
more, yeah. But also, I mean, this is a slogan that is often used
Yeah.
in Western countries, especially the US as well. But the context in Pakistan surrounding this is pretty different, because
Yeah.
from whatever I see on the news, um, the situation for women and women's like access to a lot of really important rights and bodily autonomy is quite bleak in the US as well.
Right.
But then, yeah, in Pakistan, obviously, also it's really bleak in some similar and some different ways. So for me, like, this slogan is like this is the one slogan, if you had to ask me to pick one slogan that like encapsulates the politics of Aurat March, or like one slogan that I associate more strongly with the march, it would be Mera Jism Meri Marzi. Although, of course, we also talk about a lot of other issues that might not very directly link to bodily autonomy. But I feel
Yeah.
like it does boil down to our bodily autonomy, even for issues that we raise in solidarity with other movements, because ultimately it comes down to one's right to express themselves,
Right.
to talk about whatever issues they're facing, and obviously your body is the medium through which you express yourself, or at the basic level, or talk about whatever issues you're fighting for.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I feel like, and I mean, it's because like everyday harassment, rape, domestic violence, these are such common issues that it's it's like if someone has not experienced these things, they are an anomaly,
Mm,
right? And this slogan is also like very, um, it really shakes up the
yeah.
fragile egos of a lot of
It's
men, a lot of institutions. So I feel like it's
100%.
very
There's
powerful.
there's even in the statement, especially again in Pakistani society, in Urdu, it is giving, even that statement gives whomever is voicing that statement a sense of agency that is not easily accessible, and so it's already pushing against just by the statement itself, let alone all the implications of what that statement means, right? And so, yeah, no, that is definitely a standout for me as well. But I appreciate you giving it all that context. Well, I am going to, of course, be glued to hearing and watching and seeing, everything over the next few days, hoping, inshallah, that everything comes together in the way that it should, to receive the certification, to be able to hold the gathering, for the march to happen in the way it does. And yet, I'm also going to say that this is, like you said, this work is year round. This work is day to day. This just happens to be the kind of cornerstone coming together of those who are part of the movement. And
Yeah,
again, the growing movement at that. And so what it really demonstrates in what is happening, what happened 2 days back at the press conference, this running right up against the clock to, hope that you get the NOC. Um, it just demonstrates that much more the necessity of this movement. I believe the power of this movement. I believe the movement is so powerful that it is clearly threatening those that think they are in power, and the fear of losing it. But yeah, it is, they should be afraid in one hand, and or a better act would be join the movement, strengthen numbers.
absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think they're really afraid of us, and they're trying to inject that fear
Yeah,
into our supporters and us in return, so that we, you know, take a back seat. But
right.
the whole point is to not take a back seat any longer,
Exactly.
because it's about time that we start talking about issues like marital rape, for example. That's
Mm,
one of our core demands for this year, like against yeah, marital rape. That one of our core demands is that our society needs to acknowledge that marital rape is rape.
exactly.
This is something so basic, but it's something we're having to raise as a core demand.
Yeah.
um, so whether it's this, or whether it's also one of our other core demands is this program we're demanding from the government, a social security program for women,
Mm,
which we are calling Aurat Haqe Mehnat, as in the right of a woman in view of all her labor.
yeah.
And this is something that we've been like working on for the last many months very dedicatedly, but also this is something that has been in the works for a few years now, because
Mm,
it's like when we look at the culture of misogyny and patriarchy all around us, which leads to issues like marital rape or rape at the hands of other people, harassment, domestic
mm,
violence, etc., or casual everyday misogyny, like all of that is obviously like so deeply entrenched that it needs resistance, right? And that is
right.
something that Aurat March, I think, started from as well, and will continue to fight for. But that is something that will take years, maybe decades, maybe even centuries to
Mm,
change, because obviously we're trying to
yeah.
change mindsets, right? But
Right.
meanwhile, we also need to look at how much inflation is constantly increasing in the country. Like Pakistan has never been a very wealthy country to begin with, or like a country whose people are very financially stable. There has been a lot of poverty, but it just keeps increasing, and
Mm,
it's at such abysmal levels right now that it's really really heartbreaking. And so that's why we're demanding Aurat Haq Ki Mehnat as one of our other core demands, to provide some relief, and
mm,
actually like just a lifeline to a lot of women who simply don't have enough money to eat food or fulfill their basic needs. So we're demanding this from the government as an
amazing.
economic social security program,
Mm,
in view of all the unpaid labor women do round the clock, in exchange for which they don't get anything like any form of financial security. And if their husband or father or brother or whoever chooses, he can kick them out any time of the day, and they would have nowhere to go because the government also doesn't establish shelters and safe houses as much as it needs to. So that's also part of our demand, and we're hoping that this is something that we can hopefully work towards, to
yeah,
bring at least some relief, and also like escape from violence or a way out from everyday violence for women. So yeah, I just thought
amazing.
I'd mention that.
No, very important. Thank you. Yes, I mean, again, just hearing the detail of all of this, the intention of all of this, the issues that it's addressing, obviously the people that it will support. And, for some of us, we think that these are so basic, but that's exactly the point. They should be basic rights. And that's exactly what this is all about. This is not some, going for something that is out of reach. This should be accessible to any and everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation, especially in the midst of all the organizing that is going on. Again, all the response that you couldn't have had, that you are spending time on, that you could not have predicted would need that time and attention. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. And again, I just continue to extend my support, my solidarity, to you, to the entire team of organizers, and really strongly encourage any and all to continue to be in support, attend, do what we can, whether we're abroad or in Pakistan, and really just turn this movement into more of a celebration, because these demands are being met and we get to keep crossing that off the list.
Absolutely. I hope we get to see the day soon where we don't need to protest for these things and we can actually just celebrate. And thank you so much for providing us with the opportunity to talk to people through your platform again. And it was lovely having this conversation with you. And I just like to add that if whoever is listening to this, if you can afford anything, even if it's uh, if it's $1, $1 or even lesser than that, or if you could do something higher, whatever you can afford to, we would really appreciate the support, because like I mentioned before, the movement runs on donations, and
Yeah.
because of the increasing inflation, it's becoming difficult for our regular supporters to also keep supporting us to the level that we need them
Yep.
to fulfill the costs of the march. So yeah, if anyone is interested in donating to us, please do reach out to us on our Instagram page,
Okay.
which is at Aurat March, AURAT Aurat, and it's March. And yeah, I hope we can have a, a conversation
Yeah.
again soon with on a happier note, and happier, more celebratory circumstances.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much, Farah. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, likewise. I will again certainly be in touch and, stay abreast of everything that's happening. But for now, thank you for your time today on Hardestry.
Thank you. Bye.